All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Locker Room Sports Talk Extra. I'm your host with the most here, Big Matt. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out with me here. We're just going to talk about some portal news, some players moving around Alabama, Auburn, and kind of stuff, what they got going on, players that they're looking at, and maybe some award winners, stuff like that. Some guys, some awards that's been given out around the SEC. Talk about some of that, and hey, man, bring in all your comments and questions, and let's get into it. First of all, they've had a set date here for the Mississippi Association set out for a Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game. Looks like that's going to be happening. So congrats to all the young men that's going to be sorted for that, and we'll give a list of that when we get more of those names coming out. First of all, top up here on the list, talk about your Auburn Tigers. Even though with them having, Deuce Knight, they picked him up out of the high school portal from, was it George County over in Mississippi? He's a consensus 4-star guy, consensus 5-star guy, dual threat type quarterback. Looking forward to for them to get him down the plains. He seems to very much so fit the style of what Coach Freeze is looking for in a player, but they're definitely wanting to continue to look to add a guy. Have a young man coming from Stanford, probably a Daniels guy, and I do know who he is. He played over Buford. I think he's a 2 or 3 time state champ, man, at Buford High School. And if you've won the state championship over Buford High School, they brought him in, and you can look at his stats, and I looked at some of his stuff. He's thrown for a little bit of yards, thrown a lot of interceptions, and his QBR is like 50, and Auburn fans I've had some text me today, and they're all kind of freaking out and, curious about where does he fit into this group? Well, guys, he's not going to be your starting quarterback. They had a guy to leave, so he is just going to fill in, I guess, to be most coaches, it seems they like to have about 4 quarterbacks on the team, 3 or 4. It's always seemed to be a solid number. So he's a guy. Now, Hayes King, and then also a young man, a receiver that they look to add from Georgia Tech. We're talking about Auburn right now. He is a Singleton Jr. Ole Miss. Georgia's also on his side. He's entered the portal. He is I think he's a little over 1,400-yard receiver for the year. He's the number 1 guy in the portal right now. Ole Miss, Georgia, Auburn, those are places that he's going to be. So he's going to be visiting this week. So that's some good news for Auburn to pick up some receivers for the room to come in and play with Deuce. That's kind of what they're looking for. So the Daniels guy, Auburn people don't freak out and think that he's going to come in. He's going to be your starting quarterback. They're just adding to the room. Okay, that's kind of what we're talking about here. Congrats to a offensive standout. It's been named Kendrick Lambert. Keandre Lambert-Smith to be named All-SEC. Very deserving. I think he was he was right at 1,000 yards receiving for the year. So we can give some props to him for that. Can everybody hear me good? Because I know StreamYard went down this morning. I know some other sports shows that I watched. Some of these guys that you see on the screen behind me, some of those guys had a bunch of problems this morning with sound, audio. And let me check it while I got it on here. Just make sure I can hear it. Hang on. Okay, seems like it's working good. So we're glad StreamYard got everything back up and running now. So KLM, Keandre Lambert-Smith being All-SEC, well-deserved receiver him. Also, some other news, some quarterbacks moving around. Luke, the guy he's been a sub-team player, I guess, at Florida State quarterback. He's going to be looking to be entering the transfer portal. Some Alabama notable players. McCavey is an offensive lineman, and there's a few other guys. They have I think they had 10 guys there in the portal. Some of them had already, like Jaheim Otis, another lineman, looking to move on and to find better things. Kendrick Law, I don't know what happened to him. I'm not sure how all that played out for him, just not getting the ball. Is it, and y'all tell me, is it that Jalen, I think some of it, just my personal opinion, y'all can dog on me if you don't think it's true. Jalen maybe couldn't get the playbook down very good because he had to learn it in a short period of time. And maybe just trying to find all his X, Y, and Z receivers was a problem for him. And Kendrick Law obviously was a part of that, where he couldn't get the ball to him all the time. And he wants to play. And he wants to catch the ball. They had him on special teams some. We've seen him return a few punts. He's super fast, super athletic. And wherever he goes, I'm sure he'll play somewhere. Kobe Prentice, I liked him, man. We watched him. I remember watching him in the A-Day game. He's still going to have another year or two eligibility to play. I think he'll land and can play somewhere, contribute also. And Caleb Odom, he was a 5-star guy coming out of Carrollton, Georgia, played with Juju. He went in the portal. I think it opened yesterday, but we had heard rumors that he was going to transfer. Guys, he played in like 4 games. I mean, he had like 7 or 8 catches this year. And again, is it part of the anemic offense of Alabama? Could Jalen not, get the book down right and find all his players? Is that part of it? Is it detrimental to Alabama for losing Caleb Odom? Well, you lose a 5-star guy, man. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, I'm a fan of a team, but, I'm supposed to be sports media. So I'm just giving you an honest sports take. Absolutely. If you lose a 5-star guy, it has to be some effect. And it don't seem like it would be, because he didn't catch a lot of balls. Now, was that him not getting open? Some of it has to be on him as well as it does for offensive play calling. It has to be on there for Jalen. I don't know if the playbook and how he was getting the plays out was just really good all year. I mean, he had to learn a new system. He had just a few months to learn it. So is that part of it? But, it has to go both ways. So, could he get open and get the ball? It seems like he couldn't as much. Talking about Caleb Odom, Alabama wide receiver, that wound up playing him at tight end. He's from Carrollton High School. He's a state champ, and he played with Juju. So I just shared it on the page a while ago. No surprise. I said yesterday on a post somewhere on another page, probably on Twitter, how if I was him, just transfer to Colorado and go play with your quarterback. Go hook up with your guy again. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like he's leaving and going to Texas Tech or, like somewhere weird or something like, something crazy like here's another news. AJ, the number 1 basketball player in the nation, decides he's going to play at BYU. That's kind of odd. I mean, he had Bama and North Carolina and Duke on his list, and he goes on First Take today and he commits to BYU. What are we doing? Like, really? I mean, we usually do college basketball when it gets on into the season, like after the title game into, February or something. But I just had to say that. What's up, Jerry? Yes, let's talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up. So, that's just kind of weird. But this is not weird. It's not weird for Caleb Odom to go to Colorado. He's going to hook up with his high school quarterback. They played together over there at Carrollton. He's a big target, big, strong guy. And Jerry brings up a point here to say that, Beck's kind of the same way. He can't seem to find the open receiver. It seems like Melrose focused on one player, which being in Hollywood Williams, which is not a bad thing. I mean, he is, Ryan's special, man. Academically, he's smart. He had to be to graduate early. He reclassified. There's another kid also in Alabama, running back, that's going to reclassify. I had his name on here. I shared it yesterday. So that's pretty interesting. Also, other news while we're on topics, Alabama, the Hoover Bucks here in state. Everybody knows about Hoover. They're expected to remove the interim tag from Chip English to be the permanent head coach down there. And Trent Richardson is also the running back coach there at Hoover. So it's not weird for Caleb Odom to go to Colorado. It's just not. Should Bama fans be bothered by it or up in arms? And no, it just is what it is. Does it hurt the team to lose? It's got to hurt to lose a 5-star player at some point. Yes, Ryan is different. He just is. Whether you're a fan of that team or not, Jerry's not. He's a Georgia fan. He can say, the boy's good. We watched Brock Bowers just dominate football last year, and I told some Georgia fans today up here in town talking with some guys, bringing that up. We'll talk about that, Jerry, that it was easy for Beck to find McConkey or Bowers there because they catch the ball. Bama had a lot of drops in the Oklahoma game. Georgia had drops against Bama. Georgia had some drops in the Texas game, and nearly got them in a bad spot. Not a lot, but notable. Okay, so looking into recruiting and that kind of stuff, Georgia picked up 2 really good receivers. I think they're going to be good additions to the team. Now, whether or not he is going to be, let me see him get something here. Okay. Thank you, Zach. We're not real sure about how they'll pan out. It's always about coaching, and you can bring in some of the best players in the country, but if they ain't coached up, man, well, we all know this. Coaches still have to coach. You can have Jimmy's and Joe's win the game. We all know the saying, and football is one up front in a line of scrimmage, and we've seen that through college games. We've seen it for high school football games. We had state games here locally, and Georgia state games will be this coming weekend in Atlanta in the Benzo Dome down there. A lot of great games, a lot of good matchups. So they still have to be coached up. That's the other college football news. Jackson Arnold says that he could be in line to visit Auburn also. Haynes King is going to be out on the prowl. We mentioned that a while ago. And then the Singleton Jr. receiver, also from Georgia Tech. So you got a quarterback and receiver. I don't know why. Why would they be leaving Georgia Tech? I guess Philo, he was the backup guy. And Zach Perrine was the third-team guy. He played at Fife originally and then transferred over to Central Phoenix and won a state championship there. So those will be their 2 quarterbacks. Maybe they have some guy coming in because, they're a good quarterback, man. That'd be a good pickup. He's number 1 portal receiver in the portal right now. Talking about Singleton Jr. From Georgia Tech, and he's got Auburn on his list. Jackson Arnold says he'll visit Auburn also, and his style of football fits well with what Coach Freeze wants to do. I wouldn't think he would fit in Alabama. Alabama has a guy coming. If you don't know already, you can just Google Keelan Russell. Dude, he's a 5-star plus. Plays at Duncanville. They're number 2 ranked football team in the country. He's already a 2, fixing to be a 3-time. I don't think they played their state championship yet. Maybe they did. He was Gatorade Player of the Year. Already, he was named Gatorade Player of the Year. So Bama's got a super guy coming. Yeah, money is when it's very possible he could win a Heisman. He had a freshman slump there toward the end of the year, dropped some easy touchdowns. And money is an easy answer to say why they're leaving, but like the AJ kid, number 1 basketball player in the nation, told you earlier he committed to BYU. What? BYU? But he's going to be one and done. His dad said on First Take this morning with Shannon Sharp and Stephen Smith that he's going to just play a year and be gone. So, but he's getting $7 million. Okay, like Underwood got scooped out from LSU and got to stay at home. He's going to stay up around his house. He's going to play at Michigan. He's got $12 million. So over 4 years, that's $3 million a year. But do you think he's going to play his senior year? I would doubt it. We'll see how he pans out. I mean, some of these top recruits it don't always go how you think it could go. Okay. Some other news here. Max Prep players I know locally here. Tristan Brown, Tay Diamond named for Max Prep Players of the Year. And also right here, a guy from Elba, Alabama, Auburn tailback commit, Alvin Henderson. Shout out to Alvin. Love to have you on the show, Alvin. If you run by the show here, I know he's on our page and I share his stuff. You're welcome on to come here and just tell you story. And when we interview college players, like we've had Cornejo on here and we get some other guys, just kind of, what it's like being recruited. And, Jacob talked about what it's like being at college and, the test papers and being on time and being part of not just the football group, but being part of the football group and being off the field and staying busy because you're in an area where you're not from, which Alvin's not far. He's not going to be very far from home. He played high school football at Elba, rushed for nearly, 12,000 something yards. Crazy. A small 1A school around here in lower Alabama. More Florida State news. Thomas Castellanos, another quarterback, he come through from Central Florida to Boston College. He's coming to Florida State. So we have guys coming in and out. Florida State's got a lot of guys coming in and out. I think Florida wound up finishing having a good – I think had a good recruiting class. I mean, I think it is a big deal. See here and some more news. Right today, more college basketball news. Tennessee marked to be number 1. Be pretty interesting right there. And here is I'll be there. How did it get over there? Let's see. There it is. Some of the picks for come on, man, work with me. Good Lord have mercy. Cam Newton had come on First Take a couple of days ago. And let's see, is this the right? This ain't the right one there. I'll go over here to it. So, Cam Newton had something to say on First Take. We'll talk about that. He said the same thing that I've been saying for at least a couple of weeks. Okay. How this playoff bracket has been broken down. Again, we talked about this for a little bit Sunday, and the top 12 in the nation by the committee. This was the final college football rankings. It's not the AP poll. They said they wanted the best 12 teams in the nation. They got Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame. That's 1 through 5. 6 through 12 is Ohio State at 6, Tennessee 7, Indiana 8, Boise 9, SMU 10, Bama 11, and Arizona State at 12. And that is probably the best 12 teams, I think. I think you could substitute Indiana and SMU was runner-ups in their conference, but you could definitely submit. I would probably put put Bama maybe, up there for Indiana in their 8th spot, and then put a South Carolina, right behind them at 9, and then shuffle everybody down like SMU would have to be bottom. Arizona State can't be bottom, man. They won their conference, okay? And they beat Iowa State handedly. I watched the game, and Scatterboo, he's rushed for over 1,600 yards. He's got about 20-something touchdowns. Like he's just talking about Scatterboo, the running back at Arizona State. I think he's caught for 500 or 600 yards. So, there has to be the problem is with some of this is some people feel that the conference championship games are not getting attention. If that's right. What up, Jeff? Yo, Scallywag. Yes, So I think they have the right teams numbered in there. As far as the 1 through 12 is Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame at 5, Ohio State, Tennessee, Indiana 8, Boise State 9, SMU 10, and then Bama, Arizona State at 11 and 12. It's the format. They decided before the season that they were going to take this 4-team playoff, 4 teams, but they didn't redo it really. They just kind of put our Joel Klatt talk about it, and Joel made good points about it. I guess for a country term around here, they just kind of put lipstick on the pig. Does that make sense? They didn't revamp They didn't revamp this 12-team, the 14 playoff into a 12. They just, we'll automatic, buy the bids will be the highest ranked conference champions. Well, and they did, they did that. But the first criteria was supposed to be strength of schedule, because that's what it had been for the 12-team playoff. It always had been the first thing they were going to look at was, what teams is, winning this, or who's playing who, what teams are playing the better schedule. Georgia had one of the tougher, schedules in the nation, and they've played and won 4 high-ranked teams. They've beat 4. You'd think they'd be worth something. Now they lost to 2 higher-ranked teams, and being Ole Miss and Alabama, and it's just crazy that those 2 teams can't be in there. Okay, and the ACC champ, you're going to put Clemson in. That's fine. They're a conference champion. You've got to, man. You got to put a conference champion in there. If you don't, I don't know where we're going if we can't do that. And their runner-up to get put in for playing a good half against a Clemson team that got drugged badly by Georgia, and South Carolina beat them too. So the team that beat the ACC champs, Clemson's 0 for 2 against the SEC, but the SEC only got in 3 teams. Really? But the Big Ten gets in 4, and the AD for Michigan is over this board. So there's a human element to it. There just is, man. Let's just be honest. There's just a human element to it, and he wanted to take up for his conference and get in another team. But what I'm afraid of, the SMU thing is not as bad as Indiana. SMU, at least they're runner up in their conference. I would take the conference champs, the 4 from the Power 4. They're in. Okay. And if it turned out like it did this year, where Boise was ranked up higher than Clemson, then Clemson had to be that 12. Okay. They had to be over here ranked on the side. They're 12. They play Texas. They play the 5. It's not a big deal. And even the more confusing part of that, why are they playing the 4? The 5 and 12 was supposed to play the 1 in Oregon. But honestly, it's probably easier, because would you rather play an 8 or a 9 or a 5 or a 12? Because probably the 5 is going to beat the 12. I'm just saying Texas probably beats Clemson. Oregon's going to get Tennessee or Ohio State, which is not as good as Texas. So, and everybody's saying, well, that's don't turn out in the favor of Oregon. That don't turn out in the favor of Oregon. Well, why don't it? Would you rather play a 5 or a 12? You're probably going to play the 5. Or would you rather play the 8 or 9 in Tennessee and Ohio State? I'd probably rather play the 8 or 9, because I think Oregon, well, they've already beat Ohio State. And could they beat Tennessee? Man, Oregon's fast, okay? And defensively, they've been better this year. Dan Lanning's done a good job. And their receivers, man, freaking Tay Harris is a dude. He gets open anywhere, and he gets within arm reach of somebody, he's gone. He's going to score. He's Devontae Smith. It just those quick slants, you catch the ball and you're not close to him, he's gone. So the point I'm making here about the problem is not really everybody's griping about Bama and Indiana. We're not even talking about Alabama. They're out. They lost to Oklahoma. You couldn't score a touchdown. You showed up over there. You laid a big egg. You smell like a big chicken turd. You don't get to play for it. You just don't. That's just the way it happens. Get over it. The standard Alabama should be, you need to win 10, okay? If it's 9-3 and maybe you lose in your conference championship game, say if Bama and Georgia played for the conference this year, somehow or another how it worked out, I don't know. Say if it did work out that way, and Georgia scores late and beats Bama in the SEC title game, and that would make Bama, what if they was 10-3, a 3-loss team, there's no way 3-loss. A 3-loss team's going to have to get in some. Man, they're talking about 12 teams. Somebody's going to have 3. Okay, especially in the SEC, because all these teams are ranked. We have 8 ranked teams in the top 25. And that's why they can't be graded the same as the Big Ten. Big Ten and SEC cannot be graded the same. You're talking about that's like looking at it as not even apples and oranges. It's like apples and cabbage. Now the Big Ten has their teams, and Indiana played who they're supposed to play, and it's not their fault. But somebody's got to be the grown up in the room and spank their hand. They reach over to play, get in the playoffs. No, no. Dude, you played one ranked team and you got smoked. You had like 68 total yards at halftime. You don't have the guys to go play. So the problem is with this whole thing, Saban said it best, and he broke it down very eloquently to say it wasn't a problem with this week's rankings. It was a problem back about 2 weeks ago when you started pumping these Indianas way up to scale. They had played nobody before they ever played Ohio State. Go back and look at the rankings. When they were keeping these guys in the top 5, 6 all the time, week after week. And yes, but after they drowned in Nebraska, but who ain't beat Nebraska? Okay? Who ain't beat Nebraska in the last 20 years, really? Let's just be honest. Is that your fame to, your glory to beat Nebraska? Guys, I mean, come on. I think the problem is more with the Indiana at 10. They shouldn't. Once they lost to Ohio State, they should have went out. You don't have the guys. You're not ready to play the big boy brand of football. And it wasn't close. They couldn't even move the ball. They couldn't run it. They couldn't throw it. Dude, their defensive ends might as well have sat down on the ground and just played or got a rope over there and side and played hopscotch or something. They were wasted as a waste time. Ohio State just has better players. It's just how it is. But they only got one loss, Matt. But Indiana, they've played 0. Nobody's. They have the 68 strengths of schedule. The number 8 strength of record, which means in, I guess, for ranked teams that they've played, and because they've played none. So a strength of record would be, I guess, how many the teams that you've beat, how many games they've won. You just can't tell me that you can't grade them the same. That's the problem that I have. Okay. I just can't see that there's 3 teams. Before this weekend, there was 3 teams that had beat 3 top 25 teams. One of those teams did not get in. I just want to make sure. I just like consistency, okay? That's just basically it. Like coaching ball, I coached a lot of baseball, and I can handle bad calls. They're calling, bad pitches, calling balls and strikes on kids. But it needs to be consistently bad, where it's not even in the strike zone. But if it's there all the time, then you can talk to your pitcher about where you're throwing the ball. He can, especially when they get older, when they get up, 13 or so, they can start throwing to, in this area and play, where they're throwing curves or off speeds or fastball stuff. But it's consistent. This committee is not consistent, man. The whole idea of this was supposed to be strength of schedule was supposed to be like number 2. The number 1 was head to head. Okay. If you beat a team head to head, you're in. Okay. The next thing was supposed to be, strength of schedule. And it's not. That's not what they've done. Okay. SMU 11-2, no top 25 wins. I don't understand what we're doing. At least Tennessee does have one. They play the 22nd strength of schedule, and their opponents that they've played win percentage. It needs to be as close to 500 as it can to say you're you beat some teams. Like Oregon's is 495. Tennessee's is 400. Notre Dame's 477. Miami's 446. Terrible. Clemson's 430. South Carolina's is 525. Anything over 500, you're in. That means that you have played. You've won 9 games. And the teams that you've played all have winning records. More than half. Bama's is 610. 610.610. Nobody's even close to that because the teams they've played have winning records. You know, there's just no consistency in to what they're saying and what they're doing. It's just it's just not what they said. Now, like I said earlier about the Oregon having to play, Ohio State or Tennessee, 8 or 9 would be. Well, they've already beat one of those teams. That would be the path they got seems easier. Like Oregon's getting screwed. That's the problem. Well, they lied to us and said it's supposed to be the 5 and the 12 plays the one. Yes, that's what they said. I remember going through it back in the summer. When Birds was on, we talked about it. But they didn't. And they would probably had to play Texas in round 2. Because Oregon got a bye. So I don't know, man. Now, we'll move on from that. It is what it is. I don't like the inconsistency of it. I don't like Indiana being in it. They didn't play for their conference. They've proven nothing. They've beat nobody. They've just been walking around the playground like 6th graders out there helping the coach. Like you get a teacher's aide or something. I'm talking about, Jerry, when you went out there and say, I'm going to go, go help Coach Greg, and you're like in 7th grade and you're helping with like 1st graders, and just be like you walking around the playground, just pushing down 1st graders, just pushing them down, just pushing little kids down the ground. That's what Indiana's done. And then when you got to one big kid, like one of the kids in your class, and you couldn't push them down. So now you're a winner because you've pushed down 11 kids. But the one big kid you pushed on didn't fall. Wow, man, he's good at pushing stuff down. That's so stupid, man. It's apples and lettuce. It's not even apples and oranges comparison. It's just terrible. This committee has rigged up this 4-team playoff, and they needed to be tore down and fixed back up. They just kind of feels like that trailer you see when you drive by over here in the country, and it's got that, the trailers here in these rural areas. I'm sure they have them up north too, Jeff. You see a trailer and you see this like a wooden, structure. It's plywood, and it's not bad. It's nice. And they've added it on to the back of the trailer. It's like, maybe a bedroom, to expand the trailer. It's like this nice little, kind of like wood room added onto an older trailer. That's what this committee seems like they've done with this selection show and how they've bracketed all this out. The formula's bad. We went through the top 12 teams. I like all the top 12 teams in there. I could go along with that. I don't know. Well, I mean, you already have, like Greg, the AD at Bama. I mean, you have people like in high positions saying, you know what, we're going to rethink scheduling these Power 4 teams to start the year. Bama's usually first game or second game. They're going to play a big school. You usually start out with a Western Kentucky, and then you're going. This year they got Wisconsin, or sometimes they played USC first game. Or I'm just making an example. Auburn opens with Baylor next year. Georgia opens with Charleston Southern. Bama opens with Florida State, with Gus Malzahn calling the plays. And they're trying to get him a quarterback. So if you get teams starting to want to go independent, just be independent and play a bunch of crap schools, and we're undefeated. We're in, because that's the message that you sent. Because these talking head media people are saying, well, we got it. We should be able to take the whole body of work. We need to look at the entire season. Scheduling's important, and who you beat has got to be important. And then the next thing that comes out of their mouth, they just talk about a loss. Well, so-and-so lost to them. Well, Ole Miss, they lost to Kentucky. Ole Miss has played top 25 teams. They've beat more top 25 teams than Indiana or SMU or these other guys. They're not. Why are they in it? And what Cam Newton said, I alluded to earlier, it's on the page. You can go over there and watch it. I shared it earlier today. Cam said what I said, but, I'm just being a Bammer. I'm just being a homer for Alabama. And I'm not. I'm not even jockeying. I'm not up here jockeying for Bama to get in. They lost. They freaking laid a big stinky turd against Oklahoma. They couldn't even score. That team should be in the playoffs. They can't even score in Oklahoma. And you want them to travel to Notre Dame? Oh, but we're locked in now. Oh, we learned our lesson. Bull crap. You went to Vandy, laid an egg. You went to Tennessee and should have won that game too, but you weren't ready because the coach ain't ready. He ain't got the kids mentally ready at Bama. The board does not understand every team you line up and play. You're going to get their best shot because everybody wants to be the man. And to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I know Bama ain't won it in 4 years, and Georgia's won it, and Michigan's won it, and that's fine. But we're talking about as a dynasty over the past 20 years of college football, Bama has run the league. And everybody like to be able to put that on their paycheck so every coach can say before they fire them, well, by God, we'll beat Bama. They want to try to keep their jobs, and that's a good additional note. P.S. I beat Bama. DeBoer hadn't got those guys ready. And they don't deserve to go play and get in the playoffs and go to Notre Dame. Do I think Alabama could beat Notre Dame? Yes. I don't think Notre Dame's going to make it probably out of the first round. Indiana may beat them. It's very possible. I'm just telling you, I don't think they're very good. I just don't. I've never had any faith in Notre Dame. Notre Dame's – I just read to you their percentage of wins, what they got. What was they? 477. They have the 78 strengths of schedule, and they've beat one top 25 team. But they're Notre Dame. And they say winning is important. No, it's not. Because the team with the most top 25 wins would be in. Two of them are. There's another one. And he just didn't. Either tell me it's raining outside or whatever, but don't pee down my leg and tell me it's raining outside. Don't just stop lying. It's like that girl running around on you, bro. Just come out and say, hey, you know what? I met somebody else, and I think I'm going to stay with him. We're going to start dating. Me and you, we're done, Okay, I can move on from that. But if I walk up on you somewhere and y'all sitting outside the freaking Taco Bell under the umbrella and I find you, it's bad news. You see? Just be honest. Be upfront. Be convicted in what you're doing. And just have some freaking consistency with this. These committee people, man, we need Pete Carrolls. We needed Beamer Ball. We needed Frank. Those guys, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. Just make a list, man. Tom Osborne. Those kind of people are who needs to be on this committee. Not just some jackwagon money guys that are just ADs, and they're just in here looking at I don't know what they're looking at because they're not looking at money. They need some people from Vegas to be able to call in and to have – because they can tell them how money is going to be affecting these games and these seedings. You watch what I say. These TV ratings are not going to be great when this comes out. It's not. I'm just telling you it's not. Tennessee and Ohio State's really the only game that's interesting. And that comes from all other media people that I watch on here too, from Bama Standard to Crane and Company, Klatt, SEC Mike, or Josh Pate. I watch him probably the most. Pate State. Watch him. Josh Pate football show. Been watching him since he was in a little TV station over in South Alabama. White t-shirt guy, bald-headed. They're telling you, because Josh Pate even has his own like odds computer, how they put it in. They rank the teams and who's favoring who. Bama would be favoring all these games. But they didn't. Notre Dame and Alabama? Dude, people watch that. Even, these other games that they play in, why was the Clemson and SMU game? It had huge marketing watches. You know why? Because people wanted to see SMU win. Alabama fans did. And all the other 100 teams out there and little schoolboys, girls that squiggled in their seat and squirming in their pants and just couldn't wait to joyful glee and have a party for Alabama to get left out. Oh, please don't. Please, God, Jesus, don't let Bama get in. And the next team is SMU. Yeah, woo! Our team sucks, but Bama didn't get in. That's what you're looking at. That's what you're dealing with. But whether they like it or not, they sell tickets. And it's about money. I want to see a committee of these older guys, these coaches. But again, I keep saying the same freaking word, consistency. And there's just not any. From the 14 playoff to what we have now, it's the same kind of crap. Just put in the conference champs. Nobody's got a problem with that. I don't really have a problem again for the 8th time with the runner-ups being in. Indiana's the team I got a problem with. Why? What have they done? Well, they ain't lost. They ain't played nobody. I guess not. Hell, he showed up with a bunch of guys from James Madison and Spagnuolo and them. He's a good coach. He's got a good staff. He worked with Saban in 07, 8, 09, those years when he first got there and stuff. They don't have any body of work. So either say the standards, the commission puts out this plan during the summer. Most important thing is going to be head-to-head, of course. You beat somebody and there's just a tiebreaker head-to-head, in. Next thing, strength of schedule. That's a lie. That's a lie. Lane Kiffin called it out and tagged SMU and Bama in. I don't know why he tagged SMU. The problem with me is not SMU. It is to all the other Bama fans, and that's fine. Everybody's got their own way they like to mix their own oatmeal. Some like it lumpy and some like it a little loose. I have the problem with Indiana. They have nothing. They didn't even play in their conference. They have no wins. There's no value to anything that they can give. None. That's where I have a problem. What up, Coach? Tell me about this bracket. How you love it? You loving this new 12-team? It's like the freaking butterfly effect. It's like some stupid movie. You ever seen Lawnmower Man? Has anybody ever seen Lawnmower Man? That's what it feels like you're watching. There's no consistency in this. Don't tell me that it's this, and then you don't do that. That's not – here's the criteria to how we're going to rank this and how teams will be in. That ain't what you did. That's not at all what you did. We got teams like Texas 477 and their opponent's win percentage of teams they've beaten. You need to be over 500. That means you've played quality teams, and you need to have won 3 or 4, man. You got to have 3 or 4 wins of top 25 teams. 1 or none? No way. 1? Dude, Texas has none. No wins against. How are they in? Because the preseason, they put them up so high, and they just played. We went to their schedule Sunday. They played the easier side of the SEC, if that makes any sense. They didn't have to play these other hard teams. They had one hard team. One, and they couldn't beat them twice. The Saban Disciple Bowl went to Kirby both times. I just got a problem with Indiana. I don't get it. I don't get it. If you're trying to make money and you want to sell TV revenue, I'm telling you, Notre Dame and Indiana, who's watching that besides people in Indiana? And why would they even place them together anyway? How stupid is that, man? Why would you put them together anyway? Split that up, man. Split them up and let SMU and Indiana play. You want the new boys on the block, the Backstreet Boys over here, SMU and Indiana, let them play. And let Notre Dame and Penn State, let the Blue Bloods play each other. Let the Blue Blood teams, the traditional teams from Newt Rockney to Joe Paterno, old school, great old Blue Blood teams, Penn State, Notre Dame, let's let them line up and crash each other. And then we'll let the young guys over here, the small ones, let SMU and Indiana, let them go play. And the winner, whoever wins out of the freaking crap bowl of like little kids over here, like eating plain cornflakes or something. It ain't even real Tony the Tiger cornflakes. That's what Indiana and SMU is to me. They're not Frosted Flakes, bro. They're cornflakes. You got to add sugar on them. They ain't no good. It ain't no good. Indiana and SMU is cornflakes. That's enough about that, man. I got to move on from it. They got the right 12, but they let some wrong ones in. Get South Carolina a chance. I promise you right now, numbers 6, 7, 10, and 11 on this right side of the little bracket here. We can pull it up over here if you want to look at it with me. If you don't, that's okay. These teams over here on this side, these teams on the right over here, 10 Indiana, 7 Notre Dame, 11 SMU, 6 Penn State. I would bet a little bit of money just to tell you that I bet South Carolina, Coach Short, you got Jeff. Yeah. Would South Carolina be favored to beat any of these four on the right side of the screen? Any of these bad boys right here. Indiana, I'm going to say South Carolina will be favored by 9.5. South Carolina versus Notre Dame, I'm going to say they'd be favored by 3.5. SMU, this is, I'm going to put South Carolina up here. South Carolina, Gamecocks. South Carolina versus SMU. 6.5. Penn State, South Carolina is favored by 3.5. Well, look at here, Matt. South Carolina already beat these ragtags. They're out. South Carolina, Tennessee, that was a good game. I like to see that one again. How do they match up over here? How South Carolina match up to Ohio State? I would probably say Ohio State would be favored by, we'll just say, what maybe even number 4. Texas, let's go over here and take a look. Let's just take a look right here. There we go. Well, let's just see here now, Matt. What about it there, old fat boy? 17-14. I was talking about earlier, 3. We're talking about South Carolina beat Clemson. South Carolina beat Missouri. They beat A&M by 24. Number 10th ranked was A&M. They lost to Bama by 2. They beat the dog mess out of Oklahoma, 35-9. They beat LSU by 3, and they beat Kentucky very bad. So they have a win over Missouri, A&M, and they lost to Ole Miss and LSU. They lost to LSU, they lost to Ole Miss and Bama. That's their 3 losses, which ain't a lot of shame in that. But this is how this will probably be laid out. It's very likely. Very likely. I'd like to see who would like to see South Carolina play Tennessee. Who? I would. You want to see South Carolina play Tennessee? I think it'd be a great game. Who wants to see South Carolina play freaking Illinois? Are you joking? Illinois? But, Matt, they're 9-3. And I know these bowl games and coaches and stuff, y'all already know. Most of these bowl games, they pre-pick the ranked kids. I mean, the ranked teams. So we'll take the number 7 from the SEC and the Big Ten. Okay, or whatever. Okay. Illinois beat Kansas by 5. They lost to Penn State 21-7. We're talking about Illinois here. Illinois, who's South Carolina's going to play, and I'll probably come back on Thursday because we still got another week for for the bowl games. I think it's the 20th or 21st, I guess. They lost to Oregon. Illinois lost to Oregon 38-9. They lost to Minnesota. They beat Michigan State, Rutgers, and Northwestern. So by beating Michigan State, Rutgers, and Northwestern, and I guess Kansas, really, that warrants you a trip. Did you hear what I just said? What are we doing, man? You beat Kansas. Okay. Nebraska. Okay, that was rated at the time. You beat Kansas. You beat Nebraska. You had to go to overtime with Purdue. God almighty, man. Come on, bruh. Michigan State, Rutgers, and Northwestern. Let's let them play one of the top 4 teams in the SEC. Is Illinois the top-ranked team in their conference? They probably are, because the Big Ten is shit. They're not good. They got 4 teams ranked, man. That's why I'm saying we got to stop this. Well, you have to take 4 or 4. They took 4 Big Ten teams. They put 3 SEC teams. SEC has 8 teams in the top 25 at one time. 8. That's half the conference. Half of the conference was ranked in the top 25. Half. But we can only get in 3 for the 12-team playoff. Man, I'm talking about, dude, I was born at night, and it was probably dark. It was a rainy, stormy day on April 30th of 1977. I was born about lunchtime. But I ain't stupid. You can see what they're doing, man. The Big Ten's they're getting their foot in, making sure they're going to get theirs. And they just did it on purpose. Man, one of those teams, South Carolina, somebody's got to get in out of them, man. You got to get one of those guys in. Indiana. I just showed you what the store would probably be picked. Line up Indiana and South Carolina. Somebody, what's the score? Jerry, one of y'all, give me a score. I don't know. Jeff. They may well go to Penn State. Coach Franklin's, what has he done? Huh? What's he done? What's any of them had anything to do? Get some news here. And I keep getting these messages about Jalen Milroe on Instagram. I follow him on Instagram, and I ain't seen nothing about him. He don't have to announce now. He don't have to announce he's staying or going till after the bowl games. Jalen Milroe. He ain't even. July the 10th. This is his, if y'all can see it, that's Jalen's last Instagram. He was visiting some kids at the Children's Hospital. That was his post. And at the bottom of that gray, you see July 10th. That's right there. See this top corner over here? That's his latest piece. That's his Instagram. He ain't said nothing about staying. Heck, there was a post going around earlier today from a fake account, dude, saying that Ryan Williams, Ohio State reported this. They had to go on there, and Ohio State had to literally go on there. Their people went to this guy. He's like a reporter, like for, Locked On Ohio State or something. He's part of some of that, like Bucknuts or something. Jeff, you may know who I'm talking about. Ryan Williams, he's a Buckeye. He's in the portal, interested. That's not true. the Ohio State University people had to go to the guy and say, dude, you got to double check this stuff. It's 2024. People can make accounts and fake stuff easily. A kid in elementary school could make a fake account now. You don't think they know how to use phones and pictures and stuff and screenshot and do this and make accounts? And that's the kind of stuff you got to be careful for. But what do y'all think about this one right here? Coach Belichick, the GOAT, NFL guy, GOAT, man. He's ain't nobody done it no better than him. Coach Belichick we've heard for a few days that he was interested in the North Carolina job. Mac Brown was let go, and really love Mac. He's a good guy. He's a player's coach. I've watched the whole special they did on Texas when Vince Young was there. And even went back later, and the guys would reconnect with him. Nobody ever said nothing about it. He's a really loved coach. Okay, he's done. Good. He needs to retire. It's fine. I dig it. Saban kind of set the trend. Us old guys, Harbaugh and Saban, said, you know what? That's enough. Saban said, I'm just going to go ride the old pontoon. We'll get on here with old Reese Davis. We'll get up here on Saturday mornings. We'll get old Pat McAfee. Kind of treat him like my stepson. We'll hang out and have a good time. They're paying him. I'm sure they're paying him good. But Bill said he's ready to throw his hat back in the ring. He had a 5-hour meeting at North Carolina. Paperwork was laid out. I heard allegedly that his son would have to be tagged. His son would have to be tagged if he was going to take the job. I heard that. I don't mean it's true. It's just what I heard. There may be some truth to that. I don't know. But I watched him on McAfee today, and Bill seems like he's really interested. And he talked about the consistency of college football. He talked about some of the contrast of it and NFL, and some of the things that to compare to college and NFL. I think he definitely would be a game changer. He just would, man. Bill's knowledge of the game would be uncanny. And one thing that people are not mentioning, this is just something I kind of thought of in my head. I'm an old parts guy, okay, old car guy. And I think the reason that got me a lot of maybe some interest by more people, I think, in the area here, I wasn't never afraid to talk to anybody, and I was never afraid to call off somewhere to find a part. And I would keep those numbers, man. I had an old Rolex. I had one of those plastic things, I had the cards in it. I had numbers and names from people from Chicago to Florida to Texas to New Jersey. I had a guy in New Jersey that could get truck parts. I had guys up north that could get tractor parts. I think that is something that Bill, dude, we're talking about connections to the NFL. You want to come play college football? Great. You want to go pro? Well, if Bill Belichick's your coach, I bet he probably knows a coach or two. What y'all think? I think Bill would know a few coaches. I bet Bill's Rolodex is this big around. He's probably got one on a keychain he can't even put in the back of a van. Bill Belichick knows everybody, and I think he's respected. I mean, there's always some yuck stories out there, and Tom gives them a few bad ones, how he kind of didn't – they didn't get along all the time. But, man, look, you're talking about your coach and players. They're going to have a good coach-player relationship, but, yeah, they're not going to get along perfectly all the time. I dig it. So that's some more news for there. We'll look at this last bit of news here, and we will let you guys get off here. Let's see. Just looking for some news here. 4 hours ago, breaking college football playoff, considering possibly further expanding to 14 teams. We already knew that. I'll share it over on Twitter. You can find me at Big Matt, 2 G's, 1977. Go there, Twitter, type me in. You'll see a picture of me on there. with the microphone there. Auburn fans thinking they would just rather just play Deuce Knight as a freshman because, if Jackson Arnold's interested, he make a visit this week to Auburn. We'll see how that kind of goes. And then the Stanford quarterback said he was going to come over. The Daniels guy I talked about open the show with. Daniels, now listen, I know who he is. I know Ashton Daniels, and I know y'all are saying, well, how would you know a Stanford quarterback? Because he played at Buford. Jeff, tell him about Ashton Daniels. He played over there, and I think he graduated in 2021, something like that. 2020, or maybe senior year is 21. He come into college, maybe the 21 or 22 season. He's a 3-time state champ, man. Whatever you want to say. And has he done good at college? No, he's been terrible. He's worse than Thorne. But Auburn, they're not adding him to be the guy. He's not, okay? NIL collective funding per NCAA estimations as of two hours ago. And this is for Brad Crawford. Brad Crawford knows. Find him on Twitter, too. He's a blue check guy. Well, they all do, Jerry. They ain't a coach at Hatton. He is good. Yeah, I found, yes, he did. Talking about the Daniels guy that was over there. Yes. And Calhoun's freaking good, man. They won their area 20 freaking years straight or something. But here's the NIL collective. Some news talking about funding for the NCAA. Estimates to be Texas. Here's the money. This is just in order here. You can see how you want to see it here. Texas at the top of the list, $22.2 million. Ohio State, $20.2. LSU, $20.1. Georgia, $18.3. A&M, $17.2. Michigan, $16.3. Alabama, $15.9. Gators, $15.9 million. Talking about NIL collective funding. And Clemson at $15.2. 5-star tight end, the Gilbert kid, that's been NCAA transfer portal, played at Nebraska. He's a good football player. Also, I seen the Stewart. Y'all know who he is, South Carolina, the defensive end, man. We talked about him back in the summer. We knew he was going to be good. But I just had him marked on a list, because of his size and his range, and we knew he was going to be good, but he's just showed out. Well, he got $1.5 million at South Carolina to stay and not hit the portal. That's what this is about. That's a good example. It's not about just buying a player to come to a school. Like Michigan just buys a guy to come. You don't even know how he's going to pan out. Yeah, he's the top guy in the nation. I've watched film on him. I watched Underwood at Elite 11 camps. I watched him at a big country camp. He had a big country camp up north where they've had quarterbacks come in around the area. Yes, he can make all throws, and I think he's good. But you know who won the Elite 11 MVP? Well, at the time, just at the beginning of it, little old 4-star guy. He was committed to SMU. Keelan Russell. After the camp, he becomes – Bama picked him up. DeBoer seen him and said, I like this guy. Then he goes to the Elite 11, wins it, MVP. They bump him to a 5. Plays at Duncanville, nationally ranked team. I'm just saying it's a good example of Stewart and a good example of Keelan. Build your brand. Be good at what you do like Stewart has, and he got paid through his college, through their NIL fund. That is how you – not just paying guys. There's a college in this state that is paying kids bills. They're paying their house. They're paying their mom's car note. They're paying their bills, man, to get them just to come visit. That is true. That's not how you're supposed to do it. South Carolina QB Robbie Ashford has re-entered the transfer portal as of 6 hours ago. He was at Auburn one time. He's bless his heart, nice kid. He shouldn't be a quarterback. And we talked about the Singleton Jr., number one guy in the portal, receiver from Georgia Tech. We talked about him a while ago. Guys, if you're just coming in, thank you for coming by. Hit the subscribe button. Just like the video. I would rather you just hit the like. If you're on YouTube, just hit the thumbs up. The subscribers and crap really don't matter anymore. It's about views. So share it on your page. Share this video on your page or tag your people on your page. Just share it and put @followers and help more people see what we're doing over here. But the number 2 guy in the portal, we talked about this guy back in the summer a little bit. North Carolina State was getting this quarterback from where'd he come from? Central Florida. Throwed for like 10,000 yards, man. We were really high on North Carolina State coming in. We were really high on them. We had them winning at least 8 or 9 games, man. And I don't know, they just could not get it together. But their top receiver from the year before, we're looking at him, and he's like 1,000, 1,200 yards receiving. Crap. Concepcion. Man, they got him. And homeboy from Central Florida's coming. Those 10, 12,000 yards. Winner. And their defense had 6 back, 6 or 7. I can tell you right now. Let's see. How many do they have coming back? This is where I wrote all this down last year. Okay, let's see. North Carolina State had 12 back, so I told you. That's 6 guys coming back on defense. 6 guys back on defense, 6 back on offense. Crazy good quarterback, crazy good receiver. Well, number 2 receiver in the portal now, Concepcion from the Wolfpack. Oh, North Carolina State up there home around from the Ric Flair up that way. That's kind of where that name Wolfpack come from. For you wrestling fans, that's kind of where that come from. If you love wrestling, dude, I'll talk wrestling with you. I love wrestling. But I don't on here because nobody really ever said nothing about it. I have did a few videos about when The Rock come back. I did a video about it, about The Rock coming back, kind of what I thought, how they're going to make a story with him. And, but the number 2 guy in the portal, wide receiver, Concepcion, he's very interested in Bama. Very interested. Just seen a while ago where he's going to be visiting this week. Let's see here. I really don't even want to bring this up anymore. I'm tired of talking about it. Versus college football top 25. 0-2. Strength of schedule 57. Their best wins: Duke, Louisville, and Pitt. This other team over here, their best wins are South Carolina, LSU, Missouri, and Georgia. Their strength of schedule is 18. Find Joel Klatt. He shared it on there. I run by him earlier today on Colin Cowherd show. Let's see. Jacksonville State, man. Proud of our Gamecocks. That's where they're going to be headed out to. Been playing for their conference there. And I went in looking for some more news here. Stuff comes by, and it's pretty quick as it comes by here on Twitter. All ACC, the only 17-year-old to be Ryan Williams, Tyler Booker, Jahad Campbell, and Malachi Moore. Those are some all-SEC players from Bama just coming up on there. And, again, there's some more news. Bill Belichick has agreed to become – look out, 3 hours ago, he has agreed to become the next head football coach at North Carolina Tar Heels. It ain't going to be old Skull Pinch dipping. It's right now, as of breaking news through ESPN, whatever here. I don't know. I hadn't heard anything about Rich Rod leaving. Alabama defensive lineman Hayes Fawcett says breaking yesterday. Hunter Osborne plans to enter the transfer portal. Yes, I think he was the one that wound up. Was he the one that lost? But no, that was Jaheim. One of them lost a bunch of weight, and it seemed like he was better when he was a little heavier. Florida transfer offensive lineman Kelly Collins is possible target for Alabama in the portal. Defensive lineman Kelby Collins. Just news here, sharing some sports news with you guys. Talked about Florida State some. Uh, Jarrett, another defensive lineman from Georgia. This is a few hours ago. He appeared in 11 games for the season for Georgia. He's a 4-star recruit from the 23 class, 6'6", 338. He has 3 years of eligibility remaining. He's looking to play defense over at Bama. So have a 4-star guy over the other 3-star guy I just mentioned that's leaving out. Hey, there's a lot of guys coming out, but there's possibly 3 guys that they could pick up. And I don't think Bama needs a tailback because they got Richard Young. And so far, Jam and Hayes are still there. I think Hayes, one of them may leave. One of them may take off because they got another one coming, AK Deer. He's the number 1 tailback, Mississippi, number 5 in the nation, 5-star guy, tailback coming. So I don't think Bama needs any receivers right now. Walker Howard's going to be hitting their old Raging Cajuns. He has committed. He was back up at Ole Miss and played at LSU a little bit the year before. So there's another one for you. Hey, go over here on Twitter, man. This is where you see it. Where's the top 10 wide receivers signed as of right now? And this year, well, you got the Moore kid going to Oregon. He was a 5-star plus, super athlete. Dallas Wilson also going to Oregon. And, of course, Naheem Alford, top-rated D-back / he could play tailback or he'd run the Wildcat, plays for Parker. They beat Saraland state championship game. He's a phenomenal athlete. Ole Miss gets Caleb Cunningham, which Caleb was locked into Bama for a while. But I think once they had Meadows and that other receiver, when he locked in to come, I think it just, and Ryan just goes, nobody expected Ryan Wynn, a 17-year-old to come in and just a freshman to go nuts. I mean, he had 800 or 800 something yards this year. So Cunningham probably thought, well, I can come in and Caleb will be a sophomore. He'll probably get, some more playing time, but I think I'm as good as him and I can come in and play. I think I can outwork him. I'm a 5-star receiver also. He's only a class year ahead of me, but I'm actually older than him. And it didn't work out that way. And Caleb's like, dang, man, freaking Ryan, bro. I mean, I want to play. And Ole Miss has got a good quarterback, man. One that played for Dartson this year. They're going to be a handful next year. So Caleb Cunningham stays in state. Well, we got a lot of guys staying in state. And that's cool, man. I dig it. I like that, really. I mean, stay in state and play for your home team. And Ole Miss tried to get Deuce Knight, which is in state, the number 1 quarterback in Mississippi. Number 1 tailback went to Bama. Number 1 quarterback went to Auburn. They're different schools, different classifications. Jerome Miles, these are the top wide receivers. He's going to be at A&M. Talvin Taylor's at Georgia. I like him a lot. Georgia really they've got to build up their receivers, man. They got to. Khalil Lockett, watched him play and kept up with him for a long time. He's at Texas. Jamie French, he's another big-time wide receiver, man. I thought he would probably wind up grading out to a 5. He still stayed a 4. He's at Texas. And then Ohio State gets the Porter kid, Brown III, big get for Florida. He's a 4-star. Then Travis Smith, he's a good player, man. And you can go look into Travis Smith. He's a good football player. He was on target he's a good 4-star receiver. Bama looked at him. I think Bama was on his short list too, but they got another 4 and a 5 coming. And Ryan just goes nuts this year and he's just making crazy catches, and it's wild. I think that'll probably wrap it up here. We've been on long enough. Just want to come on here and share some portal news. We talked about that and tell you where some guys are going. Draft picks right now, QB list from some guys here. Do some local stuff at like AL.com. Scholarships breakdown as of today. It was pending the draft decisions. Jalen Milroe, be a top quarterback. Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, Dylan Lundgren. So those are the quarterback list at Alabama. And then their running backs right now, Jam, Justice, Richard Young, talked about him. Danny Hill, hadn't seen much of. Kevin Riley, hadn't seen any of him. And then we talked about AK Deer. And then the receiver group, they got a lot of receivers. I know some of them's left, but the ones that are left, man, Bubba Hampton, Amari Jefferson are good players. I looked through this list back in the summer. Derek Meadows is a new guy that's coming in too, man. He's a big kid, 4-star, solid guy. And Lotzia Brooks, he is clocked at 23 miles an hour. He's the fastest receiver in the nation. And then he's coming into Alabama too. So, and this Cuevas kid, he's kind of the reason that Odom kind of left. Cuevas wound up catching more balls, man. I don't know. It seemed to work out for him better. And Odom's going to play with he's going to play with his old high school quarterback, Juju Lewis from Kelton. That's going to be at Colorado. So, Caleb Odom, best of luck to you, bro, and God bless you on your travels. And that's kind of it. Just wanted to, share some news around the area. And let's see here. Anything else? Nope. Okay. Sounds good to me. I'll as news and stuff happens through the week, and you can see us behind me here, everything's took off the wall, or you kind of see what's going on. Everything's kind of, everything's kind of taken down. I'm getting, already got stuff boxed up and getting ready to move on out. So I'll try to come on, even if I have to go on maybe on my phone. I'll try to come on and spend a few minutes sharing some news, and we'll talk about some portal news and guys moving around. And then if I can get somewhere and get settled in, maybe through the weekend and next week, get the camera up. If I get the internet cut on wherever I'm at, see how that's going to play out, how the good Lord blesses with everything. Pray for me, and hope everything works out positively. I could definitely use it mentally and physically. I'm spent. I really am, just a lot. So, all right, Jeff Anderson, I may get my Christmas present courtesy of Chicago Bears. They won't ride day. Good riddance. They can have them. Good Lord, man. All right, guys, y'all have a great evening. God bless you. Keep your heads clear and your hearts full of God always. And we'll try to see you back Thursday, okay? Thank y'all.